Welcome to the Two Fun Guys podcast, Mr. Colton Kuhn. Dude, we're so excited to have you, owner of BlueTac Security.
Yeah.
And my good friend, one of my longest friends, actually. We've known each other for many, many years. And so he's graced us on the Two Fun Guys podcast today to talk about how he's built this business to, what's the revenue at now?
We just signed and started the Nike contract. We should be hitting about $645 a month.
$1,000.
Yeah, $645,000 a month is what we should.
Incredible. So give us a little backstory on you so we know who Colton Kuhn is.
Yeah, so I grew up pretty normal, Tacoma with Tony.
Deuce Nickel Trey.
Yeah, man. And very middle class, very normal upbringing. And all that I ever wanted to do was not have to listen to someone else. I wanted to have that freedom in my life that I didn't have to answer to a boss and I didn't have to, scrape by for money for the rest of my life. And in order to do that, that's exactly actually what I did is I worked these terrible jobs, one of them being security. I thought it was terrible at the time. I learned to love it. And worked my face off, scraping by, saving every dollar, getting crazy into debt at the same time, starting business after business. And from about 2012 to about 2022, 2021, around there, so about 10 years, I was really going crazy with starting business after business after business.
How many did you start overall?
So over the course of about 13 years until BlueTac started, it was about 31. Wow. 31 failed well, I guess 29 failed companies, and then one had a small success, and then there was BlueTac.
That was the coffee company?
Yeah, Fluffy Cow Coffee.
Yeah. That's such a good lesson in perseverance. You failed 29 times on businesses.
Now I don't feel so bad for all our DBAs.
Yeah.
We create like DBAs on the weekly.
Right on. That's what's up. Yeah. But it wasn't out of like me being a tough dude or anything. I'm not. Like, I was crying myself to sleep every night. It was out of sheer desperation and hatred for, feeling like lesser than someone else. I don't remember if there was a time where a manager was just really demeaning to me or something. I have no memory of that.
Was it like in school? Like in school, were you always against doing shit?
Yeah. I mean, I actually dropped out of high school at 16 to start my first company. And so I was super against authority of any kind. And I never wanted to do that again. So business was the only thing that made sense to me.
What were some of the businesses you started? I'm curious.
So my first company that I ever started was a house painting company where I was planning on just going door to door as this 16-year-old kid that knew nothing and selling houses that had paint issues on the outside. So like if the paint was faded or chipping on the fascia boards or something like that, I would sell the contract and then subcontract the work out to someone else for like half the price. And so that was my business model, is just like a little house painting arbitrage.
It was like wholesaling the paint jobs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I didn't sell a single one. And I gave up within like a week and moved on to something else. I had crazy shiny object syndrome at that point. But
that's how you started 29 businesses?
Yeah, exactly. You don't do that without shiny object syndrome, 100%. And I don't think that's the right way to go about it. That's just what worked for me. But that was my first company ever, was the home painting company. I started apparel companies. If you look up Colton Kuhn, one of my apparel companies actually comes up that didn't sell like hardly anything. It was Old Nose Apparel. You'll see pictures of me on the beach with like flannels and whatnot. And yeah.
It sounds like, though, launching all those businesses, you probably learned all types of ways of running different businesses, from like inventory to contracts and then managing like painters and all different things.
Yeah, I learned a whole lot of things to do and a whole lot of things not to do. One of the things I learned not to do was to listen to what everyone else online was saying, which is funny because this is going to be posted online and talking about business.
You heard it here, guys. Do not listen to this man.
Literally, don't. Learn for yourself. But what I learned is that like 99% of people online are full of it and haven't actually done it themselves, and they're still trying to teach other people how to do it. And that's what I think made me need to start 31 companies in order to be successful, is I had to learn through trial and error, getting head over heels in debt. At the time of BlueTac, I was about $80,000 in credit card debt, which at the time seemed like an insane amount of money. Now I have way more debt and I love it and I want more debt, but that's another story. And there was just lesson after lesson after lesson that I had to learn that way. The things that actually worked out for me was the simplest, most down to earth business things. And that is just be where people are looking for you, for what products they're looking for. It's the easiest thing to do. And if you are that person, you're going to win, no matter what the
What does that
market is.
mean? Talk more about that.
So the easiest and most basic example of that is Google. So if you're a plumber, where do people look for plumbers? It's on Yelp, Google, it's wherever, right? Be at the top of that list, wherever it may be, for whatever it may be, and just show up where people are looking for it, and you'll win eventually. And then you can work from there once you show up on perfecting so you optimize way better than everyone else. So your page looks better, your pictures look better, your reviews are better, whatever it may be, how you can stand out from the crowd. Optimize after you're already showing up where people are looking for you.
So put yourself in the pathway first, and then optimize based on the data that you're receiving.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Dang. So then you landed on the current business you have. So how did you decide to pivot to this?
Yeah. So I was actually a security guard for about 7-8 years while I was starting all these other companies. And I think security is a great industry if you are an entrepreneur, because you get these long 12-hour night shifts where for the most part, nothing happens. And you can work on college, you can work on your side business, you can build websites, whatever you may be. As long as you're staying attentive and you're making sure you're doing your patrols, things like that, so you don't get fired and you actually do a good job, you can do a lot. There's a lot of freedom. Like, you don't have a boss directly over you. And so I was working for 7-8 years as a security guard while starting all these different companies, building all these websites, whatnot. And my giving up story on business, and I was genuinely giving up because I'd started Fluffy Cow Coffee and I got it to like $4,000 a month and maybe $1,000 a month in profit. I think some months I did like 2. So it was basically a minimum wage job. I had started 30 companies at that point, and I was like, all right, I'm done. This is garbage. I'm just going to be a security guard for the rest of my life. So I sold Fluffy Cow Coffee for $20,000, and it was actually in 10 $2,000 a month payments. So I was making the same amount of money, basically. I just wasn't working for it anymore. And I was like, all right, so if I'm going to be a security guard for the rest of my life, I might as well be a contractor and do it for myself, for my own company. So my whole plan was to just charge clients $45 an hour and not have any employees, not have a complicated business, just, kick it 12 hours a day, deal with the hoodlums every now and again, and eventually just be that craggly, crusty old guy in a mall parking lot or something, just yelling at kids to stop jumping around in the shopping carts.
Well, don't give up on that dream. You can yell at kids anytime, Colton.
Cheers to that. I can. That's one of my favorite pastimes. And there's actually a lot of giving up stories along this route with BlueTac specifically. I almost gave up so many times.
I feel like that's a big piece of entrepreneurship that doesn't get talked about is going through, and we talked about the other day on an episode we did solo, is that feeling of just despair, or I don't know, or you have this vision when you start the company and you can see it, and then these roadblocks hit you, and then it's almost like you can't see the vision anymore. It's like cloudy, and you just have this feeling of like, I can't do this anymore. I got to give up. What have I done? Am I going to keep doing this? And I'm always going to be fucking broke. What the fuck am I doing?
Yeah. No, 100%. And then my giving up story was starting this. And the way that I was going to do sales was listening to 911 dispatch.
Remember this? He came to my house with a police scanner.
Yeah.
When we lived at the house in Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
And he brought a police scanner. We would just like listen to like police, like try to find where crime happened, and then he would just show up.
Yeah. So if I was listening to the police scanner live at night, I would be in my uniform and my black Crown Victoria that was spray painted with rattle cans in my parents' driveway because I lived there. My dad was so pissed because I got some like gravel painted black or something, but nonetheless.
Yeah.
And I would show up to these businesses after the crime had been done. I wasn't pretending to be a cop and like showing up, responding 911, things like that. After the crime was finished, the police were done, I'd show up in uniform and I'd hand them a business card and I'd be like, hey, I'm just here to ask you about blankety blank that just happened, the armed robbery that just happened 2 hours ago. And they would always be just super furious, super upset because they just got robbed. Like they just lost tens of thousands of dollars or whatever it was. And when you get people in that emotional state, they're a lot more likely to make decisions that are genuinely good for them, or just decisions at all. Like I'm sure lots of people make decisions that are genuinely bad for them. But in this case,
there's urgency there.
There's urgency, exactly. And this case, it was a decision that would help prevent this kind of thing from happening again. And so what I realized is if you're able to, and this was your direction, show up when people need it the most, or at least think they need it the most, when it's front of the mind, that pain, and you sell them on that pain through just letting them sit and boil. And that just, you lost $10,000. How often does this happen? Oh, this happens once a month. So you lose $10,000 a month in revenue. Do you think that all this other crime, affects other customers coming in? Maybe the other customers stop coming in because so much crime happens here. How much do you think that's worth? Do you think you lose an extra $5,000 a month from that? So your loss is $15,000. Well, you're in luck. Our services are only $9,000 a month. So it's almost half, That was a lot from your direction.
You're welcome.
Thank you for
Still
that.
waiting on my, percentage of the
check?
business.
Yeah.
Now you're at like, what, 7 million in revenue?
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
No, man, that's awesome. I remember that day you came over and we did some sales coaching and went over exactly how to approach that. But then you took that and you rolled with it. Like, I can give feedback and I train a lot of people in sales now, and I can give the same feedback to 10 people, and maybe only one of them will make the money they want to make, because it's all about implementation.
Yeah.
And it's about taking that and then going out and then having the grit to go pursue it every single day and take the feedback and actually use it, instead of just let it go in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
And you were a huge example of that, where you took it and you went and did it, and then you came back 2 months later and you're like, dude, I don't know what to do. I've sold $3 million worth of contract value. What do I do now?
Yeah. Well, I think that was the desperation speaking. Because again, I'm not that tough of a guy. I don't think anyone really is that tough unless you're David Goggins or something. And I think a lot of people, the reason that so many people have shiny object syndrome like I had, and probably still do, and jump from thing to thing and give up so easily, is because they don't have that drive, that desperation from needing to do this. It's like, I would want to do this. I'd like to accomplish this.
Right.
I was living with my parents and most nights, because of security, I was working so many shifts. I was sleeping in a moldy ass, gross, painted black Crown Victoria every night. And I was depressed and miserable. Most people don't have that drive. Most people are comfortable in their life and they're like, yeah, I'd like this, but I don't need it. I think that's the only reason I was able to follow through on those sales things, and why I took it so seriously. Most people aren't that driven.
So you started selling contracts, and then what? You just couldn't fill them, and then what happened?
No, we filled everything.
So you started hiring people?
Yeah. So I was trying to do that new form of sales, and the only sale I actually got from that was a $25 a month tire shop. It was Tacoma Tire. Never sold any other contracts from that strategy. I used all your strategies, but in different ways. Just the responding to the 911 calls after they'd been dealt with. And I serviced the hell out of that place. They got so many extra patrols. It was not $25 a month, $25 a week. Big money. I really made it.
Whoa,
that point. Yeah.
It's a big difference there.
Yeah, huge difference. And what worked was when I changed over to trying to optimize Google My Business. And that's why I preach so heavily, just show up where people are and just perfect the basics, Google My Business, your website, things like that. Doing those things are going to do so much more for you than trying to all these different new things, reinvent the wheel. But
Can you break down Google Ads? Because we just actually started diving into Google Ads.
Yeah.
Can you kind of give a framework? Because I don't know shit about Google Ads.
Yeah. So the wording is beyond me. I know very basic as far as sales copy. I just know that it's important for showing up. When you show up, have something that catches your eye, something that's a call to action, and then have your phone number really readily available, because not everyone's going to click through to your ad. Some people are going to look at your ad and they're going to see a phone number and they're like, okay, well, let's just call this person, right? As far as the actual optimization of where it shows up, keywords, things like that, I've always used run-of-the-mill Google stuff. We actually have an AdWords company now, and I am by no means a expert on Google Ads or things like that. I know the very basics. Thankfully, that's all you need to know, though. You just need to show up where people are. Yeah.
Nice. So you started using Google. Any other platforms you started to get in front of people's eyes?
Basically, 100% of our inbound leads have actually come from Google.
Wow.
Yeah.
So who are some, maybe you're not allowed to talk about it due to NDAs, but as you progressed through this, I'm sure you got bigger and bigger clients, and you said Nike is one of them.
Yeah.
Who are some other big names that I guess maybe surprised you as you did they reach out to you, or did you reach out to Nike? How did that happen?
So Athena, my wife, actually reached out to Nike via LinkedIn.
Okay.
And what she did is she has this shotgun approach. She's really good at getting in touch with people. She's a gorgeous woman, and most middle-aged corporate men, when they get a DM from a gorgeous 20-something-year-old woman on LinkedIn, they're going to look at it and respond. And she has a lot of success with that. She's never inappropriate. She's always very professional, but still, she's gorgeous. That probably helps a little bit.
It's the bait.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's our next hire.
Next hire.
We need a 22-year-old to start a LinkedIn account and start reaching out to Target.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, Target's one of our big clients, to answer your question.
Nice.
Kroger, Nike, that's a national contract. They're rolling us out nationally. Costco. We did the security for the Washington State Capitol, as well as every politician in Washington State for a time. We've had some big boy contracts. Tacoma General Hospital, Seattle Children's Hospital, tons of hospitals and medical centers in Washington State. We're just now branching into Oregon, launching with the Nike contract. The way that these big boys work, though, like the Nike contract, when that's fully ramped up, that's probably going to be like $30 million a month for that one contract. What they do is they say, all right, so we have this giant list of stores that we need security at. They sent us this list the other day, and I think it was like 1,700 stores across the United States. I can't remember the exact number. It was something like that. And they say, okay, so let's start with 5 a week in Washington. And then after 2 months, we'll start with 5 more per week in Oregon. Mm-hmm. And then 2 months later, we'll start with 5 per week in California. And they'll ramp you up like that because they know that they might love the company and the pitch and the persona that we should put out, as well as we have industry-leading security performance standards. And I'll get into that a little later if you want. We genuinely do the best security in the industry. But if they love that company, they know that company can't service the entire United States like that. Mm-hmm. It's just not possible because we don't have 3,000 security guards just waiting on the sidelines for work, you know?
Tell us a little bit about privatized police departments.
Ooh, okay, sure. I'd love to. So we haven't actually officially rolled this out yet, but something that we are starting is I realized that there are so many small cities that hire out the sheriff's department to do their policing and their patrols. Mm-hmm. I, for my entire life, thought that this was a free service that the sheriff's department gave to these towns. Just because the town was in the sheriff's department or the county, I thought, oh, the sheriff's department just by default patrols this completely for free. That's not true. That's actually completely opposite, and it's crazy expensive for these little towns. So what we're doing is we're rolling out privatized police departments, which are not a new thing. Every college campus has a private police department. Right. That's a private entity that controls and runs a police department. That's not a city department.
Campus police.
Exactly.
Its own thing, yeah.
It's a genuine police department, but it's owned by a private entity. The way I got this is I saw this news article from Florida, our hometown we're on our way back to, thank God, that there was this little city, about 7,500 people, so tiny city, was paying the sheriff's department $350,000 per month to do patrols and to have a presence in the city.
Whoa.
Right? That's an insane amount of money for a little tiny town of 7,500 people. I don't know how they get that much in taxes, let alone they probably have a lot more in taxes than that. I don't understand how that money comes about. But the problem being with that is the sheriff's department was only responding to 60% of 911 calls from that city. So it's terrible service. It's insanely expensive. Where we could have a privatized police department, have one full-time person or a full-time person there, someone there 24 hours a day. So it'd probably be 4 to 5 officer department. And have the best service in the world for probably like $120,000 to $150,000 a month. So it'd be less than half the cost, and they'd get tremendously better service.
So you could protect the globe, basically.
Yeah.
Like put this into all these little towns that are just hemorrhaging money on overly priced security.
Exactly. Well, it's not security, it's policing at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
That's super interesting. I'm still curious, though, like the process of scaling, because you had all these businesses before. Mm-hmm. They never really took off that much.
Yeah.
And, you know, as we scale our own business, like the process of hiring more people, hiring others to manage things and run things, like what was that emotionally like? Did you ever, I know trying to launch businesses, you get to places where you feel fatigued because it's not working, but now it's really working. But did you ever feel like overwhelmed at different points of its scaling? Because now you got to hire like 3,000 guys.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, over the next like 5 years. Yeah.
But still, it's like, how do you pull that off? And like, how did you slowly build up your team in the process of being like, okay, I'm at this next level, I got to do this. Did you just have no resistance and you're like, okay, I just do what I got to do? Or were there points where you're like, oh shit, this is getting bigger and I don't know if I can handle this? Or
Well, it's what you just said, actually. It was a tidbit of what you just said, and that was pointing to your team. You can't run a corporation by yourself. You can maybe run a 10-person company by yourself, but you can't run a 100+ employee company completely by yourself. You have to have a team running it. And how we hire those people are our HR team. We hired the best HR people that we can. And actually, we have hundreds of employees, and we only have an HR director and an HR assistant. And sometimes that's all you need. We have a very simple business where we're, at the end of the day, we're a staffing company. People need security, so we train and staff those sites with our security guards and our employees. So how you scale nationwide? Well, it's actually quite simple. You have one director per state, and then you have a team built under him as you scale. Because right off the bat, say we have 5 employees in Oregon right now because we just launched Oregon. We don't need an HR director, a chief financial officer, a CEO, COO, and all of that for Oregon specifically. We can use our team from Washington to run Oregon. And that's exactly our plan. We're actually starting with one supervisor in Oregon because it's such a small team right now. And it's probably going to be the supervisor until 10 to 15. And then we'll probably have we already have an office down there. It's empty though. And then we'll have a director after that and things like that.
Did you build the security training protocol?
At first, but it's been changed several times over the years.
Who's changed it?
Yeah, I'm also curious, like, what makes a good security guard?
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that make a good security guard. Security is a preventative service. So we're not there to go after people who actively are committing crimes. That's police, right? We're not there to enforce laws. We're there to protect the store, prevent theft, and things like that. So it's completely preventative. What makes a good security guard is someone who's obviously focused, crazy good eye contact like Tony's got, and
locked in, dude.
Yeah.
Like a fucking cobra.
I love it. Good eye contact with people as they're coming into stores. If someone knows they're being watched, they're much less likely to commit crimes. There's those cracked out people all the time that don't care, or they just don't notice if they're being watched or not. And that's all it takes. I mean, and when something starts going on, people skills, super underrated. If you can go up to someone and not act like a dick, even though they're doing something wrong, that person will admit to more than you think. I remember when I was working for a company called Pierce County Security, I was doing bike patrol at the shopping mall. And this guy was stealing from a Michael's store. And man, this guy had like 3 layers on, and every pocket that he could possibly had just like color crayons and Sharpies and coloring books tucked in everywhere. And I just went up to him. And I think a lot of people would go into that situation like, hey man, empty your pockets for me. And I just, like, that doesn't work. That makes people fight with you. And if you're not fighting, it's much less likely that they'll fight with you.
Yep.
And so if you go up to them and you're like, hey brother, so for some reason, the Michael's manager said she saw you put some colored stuff in your pockets or something. Would you mind if I checked? And it was like, yeah, I guess. And I just look in his pocket. I didn't even have to open it. I'm like, okay, well, there's some here. You mind just giving us the stuff back? I mean, I might lose my job if this much gets stolen. He was like, fine, whatever. And he actually gave me the stuff back. He was actually one of the nicest people, I think, including the people that I worked with, that I've ever interacted with in security. That's not how it goes every time, obviously, but that one time is a good example of why people skills and being nice actually really makes a good security guard. Sometimes you have to be a jerk, but
yeah, I mean, that guy just likes arts and crafts, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So in scenarios where it is going to get ramped up in intensity, are you hiring for people? Like, are there tests that your new hires go through to see if they can withstand that sort of tempered stress, or what is that hiring process like?
Yeah. So we go through an oral board stage hiring, and that in itself is kind of nerve-wracking for a lot of people. If you have a bunch of monotone people on a desk around you, and then you're on this one side, and they're just like staring at you, and they give you no feedback when you answer a question, just like any oral board for police departments, things like that, it can break some people. It can make you sweat a little bit. I mean, when I was young, from the time I turned 21, I actually started applying to police departments, and I never got hired anywhere. I got an offer from Port Townsend You know Port Townsend?
Yeah.
Yeah, middle of nowhere. I think they have like 6 police officers. Middle of nowhere. I didn't take it because I didn't want to be in the middle of nowhere for the rest of my life. But when I was younger, I was in those and I was stuttering just like I just did. I was sweating like crazy. I was so nervous. And that'll break people. And you can really see the type of person someone is, how they withstand an unemotional people on the other side of the thing that just, they don't seem like they really care about you.
Mm. So you think there's a direct correlation between that sort of oral board stress, where it's not life-threatening, but it is
definitely
stressful, and like a life-threatening situation?
Definitely,
cool.
Yeah. There's other tests. I mean, we don't pop out of closets and like jump people to see how they react.
Maybe try implementing that.
Yeah,
see what happens.
why not? Yeah, yeah. Here, put these inflatable sock and boppums on just in case.
Do you have any wild stories from your days of doing security?
Yeah,
like a story that's just like rocked your shit.
Give us some stories.
Yeah, so I got 2 that immediately come to mind. There was as a security guard who didn't know anything about anything, because this was actually, I think, my first actual quote unquote use of force situation. I should not have been responding to this, but they called the security company, and the call went something like this. Hey, we're kicking out our son from the house, and he's pushing around his mom, and I'd like for you to come help. We've called the police 3 times now, and they're not responding.
Oh,
and so,
domestic violence calls are super dangerous.
Yeah.
They're some of the most dangerous calls that cops get.
Yeah, 100%. And what I did is I did what I was supposed to do and told to do at the time. You call 911, and they say, hey, we're just really backed up. We'll probably not be there for about 2 to 3 hours. And I'm like, oh, damn, okay. Well, this person's actively beating up his mom in his house. And I'm like, okay, well, I might as well go. And so I went to the apartment, and the guy had actually just left. The dad had actually fought with the son, and he had just left. And you're probably picturing something very different than what it actually is. The mom and dad were like 85 years old, and the son was like 50. And
I was picturing something.
I had a different image.
Yeah. It was like this 50-year-old guy who's never moved out of his parents' house. And they were like, you know what? At 50, I think it's time for you to move out. It's like, you didn't think that 30 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever. Anyways, I get there and I'm like, hey, were you just in apartment whatever? And he was like, fuck you, pig. And I was like, all right, I just want to make sure you're leaving, or like the scene's good or whatever. And this was like 7 years ago. I can't remember exactly what I said. I'm sure I didn't say that exactly. But I'm like, all right, so I'll walk you down, just make sure everything's good. And he's like, yeah, fuck you, dude. I eat bacon like you for breakfast. And I'm like, that was actually pretty good. I remember that one line, and I actually appreciated how creative it was, because usually people are just like, hey, faggot, fuck you, dude. This guy actually thought about a comeback that was so unique. I loved it. But I walk him down, and he was like, you better stop following me once we got down to the sidewalk. I'm like, okay, well, you're out. I don't really care. And he turns around and he's like, I got a gun in my pocket and I'll shoot your ass. And I'm like, okay, cool, man. He still didn't have his hand in his pocket. I didn't actually believe at the time he had a gun in his pocket. And then he sticks his hand in his pocket, and I'm backing up, and I'm like, whoa, okay. So I get my gun out and I point it at him, and I actually have this on video too, because I had my cell phone recording in my my vest.
Damn.
And I'm like, get your fucking hand out of your pocket. And I'm freaking out because I'm like, damn, this guy's probably got a gun in his pocket now. He's probably going to shoot me. And he's now backing up, and I'm just standing there telling him to get his hand out of his pocket. He keeps saying he's going to shoot me. He actually backs up into the road and then starfishes out. And I feel like he'd get shot by most people just having... Like, right?
Yeah, ripped his hand out of his pocket.
Like a fast movement.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I got to go to my pocket.
up.
Yeah. Boop. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't. I probably, if he actually had a gun, I probably would have gotten shot. But that's a learning experience, I guess.
Yeah, it's super intense, because you're like, if I shoot him and he does have a gun, it's to save my own ass.
Yeah.
But if I don't, and he does have a gun, I die. But then if I shoot him and he doesn't have a gun, I'm also fucked.
Yeah.
So there's like a million things going on in your head.
Yeah. So I would have been fucked because it was Washington. If it was any other state, I think I would have been fine in that
Washington
situation.
Fucked for doing anything to protect the law.
Yeah. Just, I don't know. You get fucked for doing anything in Washington.
Except stealing.
Except stealing,
You can be homeless and steal in Washington. That's totally fine.
You don't have to pay taxes as long as you do fentanyl on the street.
Exactly,
yeah.
And there's a limit. You can not legally steal. It's decriminalized to steal anything below $1,400 in Oregon. So as long as you don't steal $1,400, you get to keep your shit.
You moved to Oregon, right?
I did.
Yeah. So you're leaving, right? And you said, thank God you're going to Florida.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so...
Tell us about Oregon.
Yeah.
He told me you were moving to Oregon. I was like, oh, bro. You're from Florida? You just know
I knew it wasn't going to last. It lasted, what, a year?
8 months.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't going to last much longer than that. You're like, we're moving to Portland. I'm like,
yeah,
you liberal cuck. What are you doing in Portland?
Have you ever been to Portland?
I had driven there.
Okay.
Like for a day trip.
What was your experience?
It was fun. Like Athena, my wife, makes everything fun.
Okay, so it was fun.
But
I just wanted to rip on Portland.
Yeah, well, I'll get to that.
Okay, perfect.
It was also, we made it fun, but it was also the dirtiest, stinkiest place. So when it snowed, it started smelling like sewage. And this was the first winter we had done there. And we had no idea why it smelled like sewage.
Yeah.
We started Google searching it, and this is Google verifiable. It actually literally is sewage that's coming down. Something with the sewer system evaporates raw sewage, and when the snow comes down, you'll smell it.
Oh my God. It's so funny. These places are supposed to be the most environmentally just recycling.
I'm confused how that works though, because the only thing that gets evaporated is water. How would sewage go up to the clouds?
No idea. I don't think it goes.
That's a natural filtration system.
Don't you get acid rain? So you get toxins in the water.
I thought that was when I take a shit ton of acid.
No, you don't. Literally, you can get acid rain. Like it'll rain like chemicals out of the sky.
This is just ass rain.
That's because
it's literally acid rain.
That's chemtrails, dude.
Yeah.
No, there's acid rain for sure.
Speaking of environmental things, the real key, because we were going to turn our house, we bought a pretty nice, beautiful 1.6 acre lot. We were going to turn it into a triplex and turn it into a rental, and we were going to keep the house. The reason we decided to sell it is we built a fence, and now we're facing a $22,000 application fee to apply for a hearing because we built a fence and apparently it's an environmental disturbance.
Whoa.
So the fence was already there too. It wasn't even building a new fence. We rebuilt an old fence that had been there for over 70 years. And because we have a creek on our property, it's now an environmental zone, and the rebuilding of the fence, even though rebuilding a fence in an environmental zone is perfectly legal, I don't even know what we did wrong, and the city planner can't tell us what we did wrong.
It's those states in general, they hide taxing you through seeming like it's environmental or virtual signaling stuff, but all it is to get as much tax money. Washington does the same thing.
Yeah.
Just all these little like things just to get some more money to just burn it so they can get even more.
Yeah. And the crazy thing
so they can invent new genders.
Yeah, exactly.
It goes to gender research.
Yeah. So that $22,000 isn't a fine or a fee or anything because they haven't actually proven we've done anything wrong.
That's the application fee.
It's an application to have a hearing.
Shit.
It's an application to have a hearing, and then they assess fines.
What if you don't apply to have a hearing?
Then it's $300 a month fine that doubles every 3 months.
Whoa.
Yeah, and if you don't pay that, they just lien your house.
Think of all the genders they can make with that money.
Right? Yeah. What, they're up to like 1,023 or something at this point?
Who knows, man?
There's a lot. She's a she, her, hers or whatever, too.
Okay.
What, yeah?
I don't know. She's got pronouns.
Who's she?
Oh, the city adjuster.
Oh, nice. She adjusted her pronouns
to
be way too much.
Yeah, she's a non-binary, whatever.
Okay, so you're going to Florida now. What are you most excited about being in Florida?
Oh, how clean it is. The sun, the people. It's so fun. Florida is very unique. I think Austin and San Antonio, they're really nice places to visit. But as far as activities to do outside of the norm, Florida is number one. Like bounce parks, they're everywhere, right? Florida has a bounce park in a lagoon, right? So it's a bunch of inflatable toys that you go and you literally just jump all over. You jump off of into the lagoon.
We have that too.
No, you don't.
Yeah, we do.
Do we?
What?
Yeah. I went like 6-7 months ago during the summer.
No shit.
Yeah. It's like a big obstacle course. And they have like swings and the big the blob where like one person jumps off the thing and the other person flies off.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I guess Florida's not as unique as I thought it was.
Checkmate.
No, Florida's pretty dope. I think we went Miami a couple weeks ago, and yeah, I feel like especially for business and networking and stuff, it's kind of rad.
Yeah, it's hard to network there though because
oh really?
Well, only because everyone tries to look rich and like successful, whereas there are a lot of really rich and successful people there, but everyone tries to. Like you see someone walking down the street with a gold Yachtmaster, a $50,000-$60,000 watch, probably like a $200 knockoff from Temu or whatever. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple times that happened at the bar. We went down to Cote, Miami, and there was a guy next to us wearing a nice watch, and I'm a big watch nerd. And I comment on his watch, and I start looking at it, and I'm like, oh, why is the second hand not ticking? What's wrong? Why is all those gemstones crooked in it? Turned out he was a car salesman at a car dealership, and no hate on that, but it's just he was pretending to be someone very different than what he was.
What are the dope spots in Florida? Because we only went to Miami, but
yeah, do you guys go to Cote?
I don't know.
The best steaks in Miami are definitely Cote. That or YOLO. That's in Fort Lauderdale. Okay. Cote, Miami. I haven't had steak forever. I've just lost 60 pounds. Do I look a lot different than last time?
You look leaner. You look strong. You were always strong, but you look leaner and strong.
Thank you. Yeah. It's like 60 pounds. I've been on this crazy pescatarian diet, slowly integrating.
Is it just fish or?
Yeah, fish and rice and legumes and beans and all that.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
It's kind of
it's a Mediterranean diet.
Yeah,
arguably the most healthy diet.
Yeah, and that's honestly my favorite food, anyways, is Mediterranean stuff. Cote, Miami, though, what they do is they bring out this platter of 6 steaks, and they're all different steaks. There's the normal Wagyu, things like that. They're all prepared differently. And then the last steak they bring out is this strip of steak they cut into little smaller strips that are still attached. They soak it for 24 hours in pear juice, and then they cook it right there in front of you. And that's your dessert after eating all this other steak.
Your steak is dessert.
Yeah, you get a dessert.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
I'm in, dude.
Oh, my God.
Oh, dude, it is so good.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy your steak dinner and your steak appetizer? Are you ready for your steak
martini?
Yeah, exactly.
Steak martini?
Yeah. If you're going to get the meat sweats from anything, it's that.
Yeah, I've gotten the meat sweats from Korean barbecue a bunch of times, but I want meat sweats, high-end, $10,000 meat sweats from Cote.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
And then, what's the steak called that's on that giant bone? It's like
Kebab.
Tomahawk.
Oh.
Tomahawk, yeah. The best tomahawk you'll ever have is YOLO in Fort Lauderdale. It's so good. That's another thing. Yeah, YOLO. It's another thing where they prepare it right in front of you. They have this rosemary oil that they paint the steak with as they just roast it in front of you. Oh, and their steak sauce is to die for too. I can't remember what it tasted like. I just remember it was the best steak sauce ever.
How did you deal with the weather in Portland? Because you're from Florida. I mean, I can't imagine.
It was an adjustment. Yeah. So it was an adjustment moving to Florida from Washington.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I used to actually.
It's probably amazing though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Going from Washington to Florida.
It wasn't. It was after a little bit. So I used to get really bad anxiety, and I actually fixed it on this health and wellness trip to Mexico, Tulum.
It was like a retreat or medicine journey or what?
Yeah. No, it was a medicine journey.
Okay. Yeah. What was
It was a really low dose magic mushroom. Really low dose. It was a 0.5 gram. Okay. But I think the reason that it worked so well for me, and I did get some visuals, it was more like just wake dreaming. Nothing when you open your eyes. Nothing's breathing.
You're half in a full-on trip.
Yeah. I think the reason that low of a dose was so effective was because the shaman was so good. Mm-hmm. And I had never had a guided meditation, period, let alone a guided meditation while you have a low dose of magic mushroom.
What retreat was this?
Yeah.
We have a friend, Mariana. She's pretty big on social media. It was her retreat. It's actually Athena's friend from college, but
cool.
She was hosting a retreat, and she had all these different healers, and it was this 4-day thing in Tulum. She's planning on hosting a bunch more. If you want to check it out, they're awesome.
Sweet.
Nice.
So
what else did you do?
Yeah, so there was a yoga instructor there. We did yoga every single morning. Private chefs cooked all your food for you
Did they have steak martinis and pear sauce?
Steak martinis?
Yeah.
No steak martinis.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I wish. I mean, I don't know. Gin and steak sounds pretty good.
It does.
Yeah.
How long ago was this?
It was probably 5 months ago.
Oh, so this is okay. So this is recent.
Yeah, it was pretty recent. Yeah. Okay. And the reason I started talking about my anxiety is when I moved to Florida, I would get panic attacks all the time. So I always thought that I was overheating. I thought, again, I was overheating on this medicine journey specifically. And that's what I think got me through it. Because we were in Tulum, Mexico during the summer, during a heat wave. It was 98 degrees. And I was freaking out about the idea of it because they were saying, okay, so we're going to go do this medicine ceremony out on a lagoon on a platform. And it was literally 98 degrees. It was a heat wave in Tulum. And I'm out there and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do this. I decided before I even got there I wasn't going to do it. But they passed me the honey and cacao concoction. It was delicious, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So good. And I was like, all right, well, Athena's doing it. I don't want to be a little bitch. So I did it. And they guided me through the rest of it. We laid down. And I literally watched myself watch my anxiety die, and then I put it in a casket, I buried it, and I never had anxiety since.
Well,
damn.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, any people that say like psychedelics don't have this amazing power, it's like just in itself, it's like some people say when you do psychedelics, all of it is the integration work after. But there are things that happen in psychedelics, like you're experiencing, or like someone sees a dead relative, that you heal something that you just could never heal through any other work that doesn't involve a psychedelic. There's just no way. How are you ever going to see a third person view of you putting even if someone visualized it or had you go through this visualization while you're just normal right now, it's just not going to do anything.
Yeah.
It accesses this piece of the brain that actually like solves a problem.
Yeah.
And how do you explain it? I don't know, but it fucking worked.
Yeah. It was crazy. And it was so much fun. I mean, we did the ceremony, and then afterwards we all jumped in the lagoon. We were like splashing around. They had hammocks all over. And then I did the worst thing in the world that I never recommend you do. I mean, you guys have probably already done it, but rape, or rape as I like to call it.
I love it.
What?
I love it.
Oh, it was the worst
he's
thing
a maniac.
in the world.
It's because I never understood it either, because I would go to different ceremonies or like hang out with people that are super into ceremonies and they're like always trying to do it. But I had a guy one time really explain it to me.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's to make you super in the moment. And how we did it was we had to do it like it was a whole long process of like praying over it and really learning how to like actually take it in. And then when you take it in, you were supposed to pause and actually really sit with it for a long period of time and then be quiet for like 10, 20 minutes after. Not just hit it, because if you just hit it and you don't go through this whole process, it just feels like you're being assaulted.
Yeah. Well, so we kind of did that, and I did sit there for what felt like 20 minutes.
It's like cold plunging for your face.
Yeah.
Because it's brutally hard to do.
Yeah, but it wasn't just my face. I got dizzy. I was like starting to nod off. Yeah. I don't know what else was in it, but we had a girl pass out. Is that normal?
It's, from what I understand,
it could be overwhelming for sure.
Yeah.
Don't quote me, but I think it's like charred tobacco.
Yeah.
With sometimes has other herbs and stuff in it. So you get a huge like tobacco head rush. And some people that they don't like take nicotine or anything, it's going to make them sick or sleepy or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was sweating like crazy. My eyes were watering. And I was nodding off. And I did it at the same time Athena did, because we were just over there talking to the shaman after the ceremony, after we played around and everything. And he had this jar, and I just went up to him like, oh, what is that? And he was like, oh, it's rape. And we asked him about it, and he explained what it was. And Athena, being the crazy woman that she is, was like, okay, let's try it. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to let you die by yourself if this is some crazy stuff. Like we're about to OD on cocaine or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. And
how did he explain what it was to you?
I have no idea. I can't remember anything about it.
Yeah.
I just remember how terrible it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're about to take it.
Yeah. So we sit down. He's sitting in front of you. He's got the little wooden straw thing. He sticks it up your nose, and then he blows, and you just feel this just burning pain sink up into your nostrils. It starts here and goes up around your eyes, and then you just can't keep your eyes open. You just shut them, and your whole body, just everything comes inward, and you can't think about anything. It's just pain. Like it brings you in the moment. It does.
Yeah, it's like a volcano fucked you in the face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was terrible. But yeah, it was just terrible. I didn't get any benefits from it. Sorry, man. I know you love it.
No, I don't love it. I like the process of it. I think it's also, and again, I could be fucking super wrong about everything I'm saying. I think it's also supposed to be a grounding tool.
Yeah.
It's a very like come back to earth tool.
It brought me down to earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. What sparked? So was it the anxiety that sparked you to go on this trip, or?
No, Athena wanted to reconnect with that group because all the girls that were like the heads of this group all went to college with her, and she wanted to reconnect with them. So she got us to go.
Yeah.
And we did, and it was amazing. It was super beneficial. We did like a cacao ceremony and all that. Just drank hot chocolate and kicked it. It was dope.
So did that spur a spiritual journey for you, or did you feel like you were already on one?
I don't feel like I've ever not been on one. I have my mom to thank, actually. She started me way long ago on like a lot of the honestly fake stuff, like Dr. Wayne Dyer. Yeah. Sorry, Dr. Wayne Dyer. Yeah, a lot of that like feel good, hoobie dooby jooby things. And I've always been really into self development and self improvement.
What about psychedelics? Because you weren't really a psychedelic user, were you?
No, and I'm still not.
Yeah, that was just kind of a one-time deal that you might pop into again later at some point.
I would love. I've done psychedelics plenty of times, as you know.
Together,
yeah, yeah. But I don't enjoy it like I feel like most people do. For some reason, I just don't. I don't even really drink alcohol anymore. I'll drink kava. I love kava so much. I would love to do a guided shaman ceremony again because I know there's stuff to heal that I have no idea about.
Yeah, deep in the unconscious mind, and that's why it's unconscious. You just don't know what's in there, and you can't really access it. And these plants can help you access it.
Yeah,
especially when that's the purpose of like a shaman is to help maneuver you in there.
Yeah,
it's way different than doing something recreationally, and then just actually having someone who's been studying it for like their entire life.
Yeah,
and they're guiding you, and it's very intentional.
Oh my God. Yeah. It was so intentional. We set like 10 intentions before we even did the honey thing.
Can you talk about your intentions? Was it just anxiety, or did you have other intentions?
You know, I was going along, but I was just going with the motions. That's another reason why I'd love to do the guided ceremony again and not necessarily enjoy it recreationally, is because I didn't really fully commit to the process. I was just there, and I was freaking out about the heat the whole time, to be honest, because it was, again, 98 degrees. I thought I was dying. I've had, what's the fear of illness and dying, whatever it is? You always think you're sick.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah. I've pretty much been a hypochondriac my whole life. I mean, I was like 16 in crew, like, I get headaches every day. I must have a brain tumor.
I got chest pain. I need heart surgery.
Yeah, exactly. As a 16-year-old, I was like, all right, cool. I think that actually did route because I did have a friend die at 16 from a brain tumor. So that might have triggered all that. But that whole ceremony, I didn't really set the intentions that I should have. I was having fun at the beginning because the shaman, one of the things that he did that I never would have expected is he made you laugh and giggle and dance around before you had done anything. Like you hadn't even touched the honey.
Move the energy around.
Yeah. And he was playing the drum and he was being a huge goofball, and he just made me so much happier. And I think that, in addition to not wanting to be a bitch, is what made me do it in the first place. But I would love to do it and actually set the intentions.
Did it impact your business at all?
No, I wish it did. I think that it could, though.
How?
Just new ideas, new creative ideas. I know that it made me more creative in the moment, and it did bring Athena and I even closer. There were so many intimate moments, and there's video that other people took of us, Athena and I, because we were just sitting there holding each other, just crying profusely. And I thought that experience, even though we were already super close, we already are best friends, it brought us closer. As far as the business goes, I think that it could help, but it hasn't so far with that one experience.
Okay. So I noticed that both you and Athena are doing this sort of social media push, which I really love. Like every day you guys are posting more content. You're doing like a reel a day kind of thing. What spurred that?
Yeah. So it's to get things. It's completely for self-benefit.
We have a podcast. We get it.
Yeah, of course. If you have a large number on your social media accounts, you can pretty much get anything, right? There is so many business opportunities that I could get from having a big social media following. There's so many opportunities Athena could get. Athena's doing her push for a different reason than I am. She just wants free clothes, right? I gave her a credit card when we got married, and she's never hit the maximum on that. For me, I want to meet more like-minded people and I want to have more opportunities to spend time and hang out with people that I vibe with, that have similar goals. And also just what comes with that is business opportunities. Mm-hmm. That's something I've found is really difficult, is finding friends that are actually driven, that are our age.
Yeah.
You know, you'd think people around 30 would be driven by now, or they would have hit their stride. Most people, I'm realizing, become very complacent in mediocrity. What they don't even realize is mediocrity. Again, not to like shit on people who want a normal life. Mm-hmm. That's great. But these people, they say they want something else, and yet they don't do anything.
Yeah, it's an incongruence that's not okay.
They don't do anything about it. And so they're just sitting there, oh, I wish that. Oh, I wish that. Oh, that's for other people. Oh, that's for this. But you're secretly sitting there saying, I still want this, and not doing anything about it.
That's from the, you read The Alchemist? So in The Alchemist, it's just about this boy who's a shepherd, and he wants to go achieve this goal of, going off into the desert. And there's some part in the book where he goes to this crystal shop. And there's a crystal shop owner, and he's talking about how one day he's going to go on this big journey and he's going to do all this shit.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, well, I'll help you sell the crystals or whatnot, how I remember it. And he realizes he doesn't actually want to go. And he has this epiphany that there's a lot of people who just like the dream, but they don't actually want to do it. And that just to recognize those people in life.
Yeah.
And like, that's maybe what you're saying. And like, recognize it too, where you're like, people tell you, okay, this is what you want to do. Let's figure it out and do it. But they don't actually want to do it. Mm-hmm. And then you get frustrated. It's almost like you've been like catfished, or what is it?
Yeah.
Is it catfish? Yeah. Yeah. You're like, you're pushing them along. You realize, I mean, I've even had this with training clients. You're like, oh, they don't actually want to change.
Right.
They just want to come to me and complain about shit. Yeah. Right. They just like the idea, but they don't really deeply within them. They don't actually want that.
It's a lowercase W want, not a big W want. Like it's just this mental masturbation where they say, oh, this would be so nice. And they picture it and they imagine it. And visualization is a powerful tool. And they're like a third of the way there because the rest of it is actually fucking doing it.
And to us, drives, I mean, at least me, insane. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. There's nothing worse than like someone talking about something and they don't actually take action. Like, I got to get away from that person.
And to bring it back full circle to what you said at the very beginning, like that's frustrating to you and to not be able to find those people.
Yeah.
But just like Google AdWords, you put yourself in front of the people you want to find.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, where have you tried to find those communities of, because there's a ton of 30-year-olds, 35-year-olds that are super motivated. Where have you been looking for them?
So I haven't done a whole lot recently because I've been in Portland. But
yeah, good luck out there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the land of complacency.
Yeah. So what I did when I was in my mid-20s is I would go to business incubators, and I had a lot of success with finding people who were hustling and grinding. Mm-hmm. No one other than the teachers, the teachers, they were just people who had made it, and they were just volunteering their time. No one else had really made it to that level. And I'm not like talking as if I'm on this high horse, but I'd like to meet people who are on, or at least much farther along on their journey than I am, or at least at the same level. I love having friends who are just grinding and just hustling. And that's super cool, but it'd also be nice to have friends that are doing the same things you're doing.
One thing I've heard that's a great place to network we learned from one of our friends and mentors is car shows. So if you if you buy a nice car, you buy a supercar.
Yeah.
It's not even about like, oh, I love my supercar, I want to show it off, but that's now your ticket to supercar shows, and you go meet other people that have supercars. And he told us that was the best networking tool, and he just loves cars, right? So he does it, but that was sort of a icing on the cake that he didn't think about, was you go to these car shows, you meet other millionaires that have, $400,000 cars.
Yeah.
And then that's like the biggest networking. And then you talk about each other's cars, you go get dinner, you become friends, and then business deals come out of that, all because you both had an STO.
Yeah. I used to be super into cars growing up. I used to restore them and everything. I'm not anymore. But yacht shows.
Yachts too.
I love sailing. I've been sailing since I was like 4 years old. When Athena and I were in Portofino, there were so many people that I could have gone up to and like started conversations with. They were just pulling up on these like 200-foot sailboats.
Nice.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yacht shows, I think, is going to be my version of car shows.
Yeah, perfect. Wherever rich people are, just go be near them.
Hey, and maybe you make your own events. I feel like, I came in it gave me an idea when we went to our Amazon mastermind.
Mhm.
It's like, it would be kind of fun to create events to just get different types of groups of people together and just like have fun. I know, like, you don't get play dates anymore because we're not 5 years old. So like, it's like you're saying, it's hard to meet friends that are like doing cool shit.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people, they're just spread out everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. And when you come together and you chit chat and you talk about the wins and the struggles and all that, you get so juiced again.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would love to meet more people that are way beyond me, like I mentioned before, because that's what really gets my gears grinding. Anytime I think that I'm cool or like the shit, I'd love to meet someone else that's like, oh, I'm not shit. I am nothing. You know,
Mhm.
I want to meet those people that make me feel so small that it just blows my mind up to this big, like, oh my God, this is what's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you hit those marks as you grow. You know, at 40, I have a video of myself crying because I've updated and I've taken a video log almost every single week through this whole process of starting BlueTac. I love going back on them. I have a video of myself, it's a selfie video, just crying my eyes out because I only had like $10,000 out of the $80,000 in debt left, and I was making $40,000 a month. I thought at that point that I had made it. I was like, damn, this is it.
This is the pinnacle.
This is the pinnacle. It's never going to get better than this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now it's like, what, 15 times more a month? And, you know, 2 years down the road, it's probably going to be 15, 20 times a month than that is right this second.
And what does that feel like coming from no money to like the wealth you have? Like, how do you feel like you've changed? What does it feel like, that experience? Because I think that's always an interesting thing, because I always visualize it all the time. It's like, we're on our way up, but we ain't there.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, you try to visualize or like daydream, like, what will it be like in that moment?
It's not a lot different. It's not that much different. You have a lot more freedom. You can buy new cars anytime you want. I mean, we just bought the Rivian because I just wanted a big electric
truck.
car. Yeah. I just wanted, it's the SUV.
Oh, wow.
We road tripped it from Portland.
Is it out there?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. We'll have to take a video.
For sure. Yeah. You know, you can buy a lot more stuff, but as a person, I think it would be a flawed approach, and that you would have either been fake then or fake now if money changed you on a personal level. On a personal level, I think you could attest I'm the same weird fucking dude.
Weirder.
Okay, well, maybe money did change me. I don't think on a personal level it changed me. What it did change, though, were my standards and the circle that I have around my life. And actually, this is something that I started not when I started making money. It was something that I started 3-4 years ago that allowed me to become successful, is changing who I give my time to and who I allow into my life. I had to cut some people out, some people temporarily. I had to cut them out because they're just so negative. Family members, I had to cut out.
So how do you evaluate who should be in your circle?
Anyone that uplifts you and that you can uplift in return. I think that relationships should all be us, not me. And so if someone can lift me up but I'm not benefiting them at all, I don't think that's a beneficial friendship. I don't want to feel like I'm using
That's
them.
a mentorship.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to feel like I'm using them, you know, and I don't want them to feel like, I don't want me to feel like they're using me. You know?
Totally.
Yeah. And there were a lot of people in my life that I realized that were very close to me that were just pessimistically negative. And I could not be successful with those people in it. Some very close friends of mine, some family members, and cutting those people out. And for a long time, being completely alone. I had no friend. Well, we've always been friends, but we didn't talk at that point. We went through a long stretch where we just didn't.
Yeah, we were friends through high school, and then
Yeah.
we didn't talk for maybe 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And then randomly, did you message me?
Yeah, you downloaded Signal, and I got a notification. Tony Haddad's on Signal, and then I was like, "Dude, Tony, what's up? Do you want to get a cigar?" And then we had
Yeah,
the
and then we
cigar
went to
down.
Point Defiance and smoked
Yeah.
cigars at the beach.
Yeah. That was
And that
dope.
rekindled the whole friendship.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
exactly,
was crazy.
yeah.
I bet cutting family out is difficult because I feel like, I don't know, at least for me, it's like with family, you feel like you have obligation to them and you don't realize how much what they say is like hypnosis. It can influence you so deeply.
Yeah.
Like put fears in you, just like, I don't know, limitations.
Yeah, 100%. Family doesn't have to be permanent. For me, I just needed to get out of that mindset, get out of that depression that I had. And it only took, a year, and then that person's down in my life again. So, but they're in my life, and I'm able to control it because I'm not in that mindset anymore. I feel like I have a lot more control. You get to this place where you're stable, where nothing can really knock you off. And I wasn't in that place at that point. I wasn't centered.
Do you have other advice for young entrepreneurs on their way up? So inner circle is super important. What other piece of advice do you have? Visualization,
like you said. I was in that moldy ass Crown Victoria. I would close my eyes and I would grab the steering wheel, and I was in a Ferrari or a Lamborghini Gallardo. Or did I just murder the name of that?
Gallardo?
Gallardo. Yeah, whatever. I was
not
in some.
I'm not a car guy, so you could have said llama, and I'd be like,
okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, I was in a Lamborghini Llama, and I would close my eyes, and I grabbed that steering wheel, and I was driving down the switchbacks in California on Highway 1 or whatever, and I felt that, and I heard the roar of the engine. I would close my eyes, and I would see my bank account. I would listen to these super helpful but seemingly cringy now audios on YouTube of just saying, I am a millionaire. I make X
affirmations.
Yeah. Super powerful. I listened to those almost 8 to 10 hours a day for like a year straight as I was starting BlueTac. Anytime that I was working a shift and I had a moment, I would put those on. So affirmations, circle. What else? And don't be afraid to change things. I pivoted so many different times, and I got made fun of by a lot of people because I was so like, oh, let me try this, let me try that, let me try this. But the thing is, I tried everything. If something didn't come easily to me because of the shiny object syndrome, I immediately tried something else until I found something that did come easily to me. And then that gave me the path of least resistance to be successful. Well, relatively so.
So you're saying are you saying like be persistent on a path, or
no? So
take the easy route.
I'm saying take the easy route.
I like this guy.
Yeah.
I like his advice.
I think a lot of people say, they take like the David Goggins approach, which that's really good for a lot of things. But if something's genuinely not working out, banging your head against the wall harder isn't going to make you go through that wall. If there's a brick wall in front of you, you need to change your approach of how to get around or through or over that wall. Just continuing to bang your head against the wall is not going to work.
Know when to quit the right way.
Yeah. Well, know when to pivot.
Know when to
necessarily
pivot.
have to be a quit.
Know when to call your hand, basically.
Yeah. Call your hand and try something different.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming. Where can people find you? I know you're getting bigger on social media these days, so where do we find Colton Kuhn?
Just Colton Kuhn on Instagram. It's a private account though. So
all right, well, good luck, everybody.
You can't grow your social media with a private account, buddy.
Yeah,
you gotta undo that.
I'm not really trying to grow my account. No, it's mostly.
I thought you were trying to grow your social.
Oh, it's
media.
just like a journal of your life, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
For close friends. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna eventually. I'll probably start a personal account to.
Gotcha. You were saying you want to grow your social media for the if you have a big following, then you can.
Yeah, eventually.
Okay, that's not a right now deal.
Athena's growing her social media.
Okay, well, we'll go find Athena.
If somebody wants to be a security guard for you,
what's up?
If they want to be a security guard for you,
yeah,
BlueTac.com.
BlueTac.com.
Yeah,
it looks like this. It's a logo, everybody.
It's the best uniform in the industry.
Love it, man.
It is. All right, Colton. Thank you, brother.
Of course.
Thanks, man.
Cheers.
Yeah.